So we'll start with Bitcoin on the weekly. Last week, things were looking pretty decent. Start of the week a little rough. But it seems we've closed now our second weekly candle above the 20 weekly moving average. That's great news. Amazing news, actually. Right around here, this is likely a zone, actually, of resistance. I'm going to go ahead and call this pretty much 58.8. On the weekly, it's 58.3. On the monthly, 58.8. And you can really see this is where the resistance is. Closing above 49.1 is a really good sign of testing that 58 area. I know, it's wild, right? Just a few weeks ago, everybody was looking for bear market, 10K, whatever. Now we're looking back at 58. I believe a close above 49.1 suggests that in, maybe not necessarily next week, could be, but in the weeks to come, we'll be looking to test these higher resistances. It only makes sense. There really isn't a lot. We can claim there's psychological 50K. That's a valid argument. But something tells me it's not going to be a big player. CME opened, no gap. There we are. And CME doesn't really have resistance until 60. So that lines up pretty well with 58.8. With the close last week being above resistance, CME looks kind of cleared for 60. It's very, very spicy. ADA, I mean, like, could we have been more on with ADA? The answer is no. ADA has looked strong since May's sell-off, held $1, was able to make continuous closes above $1.31, and here we are, guys, trading at $2.70. ADA is pushing into this close hard. If we zoom it down to the hourly, we're going to see that literally we are setting all-time highs into this weekly close. That is very exciting for ADA holders and for really the market in general. ADA is a large cap. And to see it run like this, to see it put in new all-time highs, really does serve to invalidate the bear argument. If we're in a bear market, why are large caps setting new all-time highs? Give me the answer to that. It's an open challenge. Give me a good answer to that. I'd love it. I don't think there is one. ADA is going to be looking for some higher numbers here. This is a new high in dollar valuation. Not against Bitcoin. That is a very important note there. It's been valued higher against Bitcoin, but not against the dollar. The logical moves to the upside we're looking for, 475. Measured move sitting at $6.86. These are, man, I hate to, I don't want to rile you guys up, but closing this weekly here, I don't see any reason ADA isn't going to be reaching for that 473. Now, it may just run against Bitcoin in evaluation. The ADA BTC pair may see some big green, and Bitcoin could sit still. I just don't think that's very probable. And in my experience in crypto, that's really not how it works. Typically, these large caps and really anything, almost nothing, sets all-time highs against the dollar during a bear market. ADA looking amazing. Targets to the upside. Very clear cut. Ethereum, this is the interesting one. Ethereum not closing really like the other large caps we're seeing. Bitcoin closing a nice solid green candle. ADA closing at all-time highs. Ethereum painting perhaps a hammer of some kind. There's 3 minutes to go, and I don't have this marked on my chart here, but support below us, 2,710 on the weekly. Our resistance here into the close, 3,310 to flip this candle green. Man, with only 3 minutes, I still have a feeling this is going to close green. I don't know why. I just have that vibe. Maybe you guys disagree. I don't know. Either way, resistance above us here from the weekly, just under 40,000. 39,028. Ethereum's looking pretty good. Really, the whole market is having a pretty happy close here. I don't want to give all the credit to ADA, but man, the strength it's showing, I think, is really reflecting not just ADA's strength as they move towards smart contracts, etc., but the market as a whole. This market is absolutely one giant living organism. Just like a human body, each part has a different function, but they're all they all have the same goal. They all have the same drive. So let's look at some indicators here, and actually we'll look at maybe low time frames. Low time frames and see kind of what's going on. Bitcoin, after rallying today rather strongly for maybe 2 hours, chilling out here into the close. 2 minutes to go. You can see 49.1. Very close to price still, but looking with only 1 minute and 50 seconds left, not likely to close below. So I'm going to go ahead and say that looks good. ADA on the 15. We'll look at all these in low time frame. It is wild to me that ADA is just pushing into this close. This is such bullish behavior. A lot of people out there are maximalists of different coins and think, oh, my coin is going to run. Doesn't matter what the rest of the market's doing. That's not how it works. I'm sorry. Hate to break it to you. It's not how it works. ADA running here into the close, ADA showing strength, is a positive sign for everything. It's not just, it's certainly a positive sign for ADA, but it is a positive sign for the market as a whole. The market cap is very large, and so it alone moving shows growth in the space. 55 seconds, I probably shouldn't attempt this. We probably should just watch the close here. I'm going to pull up total, and after the close lately, but has regained a lot of that. We might be seeing a very 15-minute, very local, kind of double top thing. This is, if, you know, at worst, maybe just looking for 49.1. But there we go. The weekly's closed, so we're going to pull these up. Cool. The rush is over. I just want to talk about each briefly before. I probably should have streamed a little earlier then, right? Yeah, I know. Okay. ADA. Let's look at these closes. Total. I'll tell you what, man. If Total's not respecting that freaking channel perfectly, I don't know what's going on. Look at this. All right. Ethereum was the only clincher, and I guess I was wrong. I was wrong, my call a minute ago. It does not look like Ethereum closed a green weekly, but I don't really think that's going to be a super relevant thing to this week. We had a higher low. Intra-week, we saw selling. We closed lower, yes, but there was enough buying pressure to close this candle back as a hammer. And I think the easiest takeaway here on Ethereum is, in this week, we're looking for 3,310 to break. If that breaks, we're looking for 4K. That's pretty simple. Pretty simple there. You break the local daily support or weekly resistance. You're looking for the next one. Below us, 29.51. That's likely the value. We're not going to want to see Ethereum trade below this week. We don't want to see a lower low on the weekly. If we do, maybe that red candle becomes a little more threatening. However, we do have solid support, untested, on the weekly at 27.10. If Ethereum does reach down to that level, there are going to be some spicy entries. So watch Ethereum. I'd give it a watch there this week. I think that this is a more likely coin to have a strong entry than, say, wrapping it back in, ADA. Trading at all-time highs, entries can be difficult. I cannot recommend enough, that, in my opinion, to not jump into ADA at this second. Nothing to do with ADA, just quality, anything like that. Very well. Very likely is still continuing to the upside. However, you're literally buying at an all-time high. And so that's just as a rule of thumb, guys. That is the bad position to put yourself in. Think about it. Just give it a second thought. If you're thinking about it, give it a second thought. ADA green into the new week, showing continued strength. Bitcoin getting its close above 49.1, showing strength again. We have a new weekly, and that weekly is green. So at the moment, that would be 6 green weeklies in a row. That's pretty wild. That's pretty darn wild. After a string of, I think it was 10 green days in a row, I guess that's not that crazy, because we've seen a lot of upside action, a lot of buying pressure out of nowhere, right? As long as we're above the 20 weekly, I'm happy. There's really very little threat, and actually what's very coincidental here is in this new week, we've seen the 20 weekly move down on Bitcoin. 42.4. That is so close to our 44 42.2 from the daily, and that is the level that we were discussing for a few days now, maybe a week now. Our descending high trend, and then the, let's see, 42.2, there it is, right below us, directly below us in this candle. 42.2 converges with our descending high trend, which is right where the 20 weekly is. Pretty spicy. I think that level is going to be a strong one if we do even see selling to that level. That's not really guaranteed anymore. After this kind of price action, yeah, I would agree. Not a beautiful looking structure. Anyone is welcome to argue this, that we're seeing an ascending wedge. I think that could be a very valid argument. As long as you're above 42.2, we are undeniably in an uptrend. That is honestly what has changed this month versus last month. Last month, I think the sentiment was very much doubting. Are we in a bull trend? Were we ever in a bull run? Was this just a giant fake out? But now it is undeniably in a bull rally, in a bull trend. Oh man, I forgot. Crap, I have to let the lady in. I'm so stupid. All right, guys, I'm going to run back. I'm going to run downstairs. After this bullish cycle, $1.31 could be an entry in the next bear market or something. It's going to be an important value. Spent like 6 months just hanging out there. It may never come back. Let's look at RSI. You're in risk of bearish divergence on RSI. You're at the highest point in price because you're at an all-time high. You're not at the highest point in RSI. Does that mean ADA is doomed? No, not at all. That could suggest that ADA is looking for further upside to reach up towards that 470 target and bring RSI up with it, remove the threat of bearish divergence, and continue. Market side for money flow looking pretty solid here. This daily is just a gradient, just a steady gradient. That's what we want to see. Not a lot to interpret there. VWAP virtually is neutral. And just increasing money flow. Yeah, this is a pretty easy call. So this is what I keep getting trapped on, but I'm just going to keep doing it because this is good TA. I keep expecting this. I've gotten caught on the market a few times this way. Backtest the resistance, set it as support, move to the new target. That may not happen, but I would say, even though we've been caught on this a few times, this is still the most probable move. Better to wait for that 230 than to market order it at an all-time high. So, in this week, may see something like this. We may actually be even able to divine up some better numbers here. 279. Ooh, I kind of like 316. There we go. Close. I like it. All right. So maybe some kind of profit taking at 316 before a back test of 230. But as I said in the beginning of the episode, guys, ADA showing this kind of strength, ripping to new all-time highs, closing strong on the weekly. This is a great signal for the whole market. When the market's bullish, back tests of all-time highs, not a very dependable thing. So if we see everything else start to pick up alongside here, let's say Bitcoin breaking through 50K, ADA is likely to skip that 230 back test. Just high above all the moving averages. All right. Ooh, look at this. This is pretty cool. So a lot of you are familiar with the Crown trade book and our kissing, our bullish kissing. So this is actually something maybe I've never pointed out. I'm just noticing now. On the daily, we have almost a quadruple bullish kiss here. We have the 200 daily below the green trending up. We saw the 20, the 50, and the 100 begin to curl down, looking to cross bearishly with them, and all three of them rejecting that bearish cross, moving to the upside. This is, maybe I would best describe this as a combination of our high energy moving average setup and bullish kissing. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever really seen that before. That caught my eye. All right. Where am I? There it is. Okay. All right, I think that's decent for ADA. Let's look at Ethereum a little more. Let's look at Ethereum's. Ethereum, very similar condition. Very similar condition to Bitcoin ADA. We did not get a lower low on July 19th. We had a lower low in RSI, coming off bullish divergence. We don't have anything really bearish here, although Ethereum does have a little kink here in the hose in this last weekly close. I still don't think it's in danger, is it? No. No, it's not. RSI is not an issue here on the weekly for Ethereum. It's not at the highest point in price. It's not the highest point in RSI, but it is a higher RSI high and a higher high versus late May, early June. So Ethereum on the weekly actually looking pretty good. We see the 20 weekly sitting at 26.44, moving up to that weekly level at 27.10. As I said earlier, if I was looking for a position in Ethereum, that's probably where I would look. I'd probably look at 27.10. That is an untested. You can see it really wasn't even tested as resistance, and then it was never really tested as support. So to see that test as support wouldn't be mind-blowing. Likely as the 20 moves up, and you get a bounce there, and then you're looking to retest your highs at about 4K. More similar to Bitcoin, this is our third week of increasing momentum here on MACD for Ethereum. And actually, money flow looks actually better than Bitcoin's here. This I did not expect. This I did not expect. There are less lows. This is a more steady flow of money flow on the weekly versus Bitcoin. Didn't really expect that, though. Pleasant surprise. I think that may be an argument against that 27.10 test and more suggestive of 4,000. 39, whatever. So on that weekly, we'll be looking for a break of 33.1. Support, or hopefully not setting low below 29.51. So that's our trading range, really. That's our trading range until we break it. Let's move this. With our open, I like to always mark these opens too. 32.41. So to see consolidation around 32.41 wouldn't be very surprising either. Flipping candle red, green. Likely to throw off algorithmic trading. That's my guess. Not bad. Let's go to the day. All right, high above. Looking a lot like Bitcoin. High above the 20 daily here, sitting at 32.41 currently. Yeah, this is pretty good. So on a technical level, Ethereum essentially double bottomed. It was a slightly higher low. And if we look at that retracement and use our extension, so July until mid-July to late July, till the kind of whole market reversal. Using our extension tool, we can see, and this kind of was our target at one point, 33.8 is our 2. That's our measured move. Price came just shy of that and back tested the 1.618. Why this catches my eye right now is we were seeing this happen all the time, just across the market, across coins, when everything was going up. We were seeing measured moves to the upside, hit the 2, hit the move, ignore the 1.618, and then back test the 618 as support and run. That's a pretty spicy setup. That bullish kiss played out on Ethereum. We were looking at that for a while. Played out not quite as awesome, I would say, as ADA's, because you had all those averages at the same time. But the 20 did bullish kiss as well, so 20.50. The 100 still tilting down, which is odd. I would expect this to begin trending back up soon, and that'll likely complete it and kiss off the 200 as well. So maybe it will get the exact same signal. I am going to keep an eye on that.